AITA for skipping my dad's funeral because he chose his new family over me years ago? I, 29F, didn't go to my dad's funeral last month, and my entire extended family is furious about it. Here's the thing, my dad stopped being a father to me a long time ago. When I was 13, my parents divorced after my dad had an affair with a woman named Tracy. Within a year, he married her and moved in with her 2 kids from a previous marriage. Overnight, it felt like I was replaced. He used to pick me up every other weekend, but after he remarried, those visits became less and less frequent. There was always some excuse: we're busy, the kids have soccer, Tracy's family is visiting. Eventually, the call stopped too. I remember one Christmas, I waited by the window with my suitcase packed. He never showed up. My mom had to call him, and he just said, "We decided to stay home this year. Tell her I'll make it up to her." He never did. By the time I turned 18, we were basically strangers. He didn't come to my graduation. He didn't help with college. The only time I heard from him was when he sent a generic happy birthday text once every few years. Meanwhile, on Facebook, I'd see post after post of him with his stepkids, family trips, birthdays, college move-ins, all the things he never did with me. He referred to them as my kids. That one hurt the most. I tried reaching out once, when I was 22. I asked if we could meet for lunch and talk. He agreed, then canceled last minute because something came up with the kids. I never tried again after that. A few months ago, I got a call from Tracy. She said my dad had passed away suddenly from a heart attack. I was shocked, but honestly, I didn't feel much. Then she said, "The funeral's on Saturday. I know he'd want you there, you're his daughter." It took everything in me not to laugh. He hadn't treated me like his daughter in over a decade. I politely said I wouldn't be attending. She sounded offended and said, "That's still your father." But was he? Because the man she married may have been my biological father, but he wasn't my dad. When my extended family found out, all hell broke loose. My aunt called me heartless. My cousin said I'd regret it one day. Even my mom told me she understood my anger but that funerals aren't for the dead, they're for the living. Maybe that's true, but I didn't need closure. I'd already mourned the loss of my dad years ago, when he decided to stop being part of my life. I don't hate him. I just stopped caring. Now, my family won't stop guilting me about it, saying I disrespected his memory. But in my mind, he made his choice. He built his new family and left me behind. So he got his wish, they were the ones by his side in life, and they can be the ones by his side in death. So, AITA for skipping my dad's funeral because he chose his new family over me years ago? AITA for telling my stepbrother that he's not family and never will be? I, 25F, have a stepbrother, Ryan, 27M. Our parents got married when I was 16 and he was 18. He moved into our house right after high school, and to be honest, we never got along. From the start, Ryan acted like he ran the place. He'd eat my food, go through my things, and make snide comments about how I was daddy's spoiled princess. Meanwhile, my mom constantly tried to get me to be patient and blend the families. But Ryan made it impossible. He once borrowed my car without asking and got a speeding ticket in another county. He constantly made fun of me in front of his friends, calling me princess or drama queen. And when I confronted him, he'd just laugh and say, "Lighten up, sis. We're family now." The sis part always made my skin crawl, because we weren't close. At all. When I turned 18 and went to college, I mostly stopped coming home during breaks. Every time I did, Ryan was there, making everything uncomfortable. Once, he even told me, "You know, you're lucky my mom puts up with you. You're not even her kid." That one stuck with me. Fast forward to now. I have my own apartment and a stable job. My dad and stepmom recently threw an anniversary party, and of course, Ryan was there. The night started fine, but then Ryan started his usual teasing, joking about how I never show up for family stuff and that I'm too good for everyone now. I ignored him at first, but he kept pushing. Finally, he said, "Come on, sis, don't be such a stranger. We're family, right?" Something in me just snapped. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "No, Ryan. You're not my family, and you never will be." The whole table went silent. My stepmom gasped, my dad gave me that disappointed look, and Ryan looked stunned. Then he laughed awkwardly and said, "Wow. Okay then." After that, things got tense fast. My dad told me I was out of line and that Ryan was trying to extend an olive branch. I said that's funny, because I've been dealing with his disrespect for years and no one ever stood up for me. Ryan stormed off, and my stepmom accused me of ruining the night. Now my family's split, half of them say I finally said what everyone was thinking, and the other half says I was cruel. My dad called me later saying Ryan was hurt and that I shouldn't hold teenage behavior against him forever. But the thing is, Ryan never changed. He's still sarcastic, still dismissive, and still acts like he's above me. He just hides it better in front of my parents now. I don't hate him, but I also don't consider him my brother. We didn't grow up together, we don't have a bond, and we don't even like each other. So. AITA for telling my stepbrother that he's not family and never will be? AITA for refusing to pay for my parents' retirement after they kicked me out at 18? I, 30F, grew up in a very strict, conservative household. My parents believed in tough love, no talking back, no questioning their rules, and absolutely no mistakes allowed. When I turned 18, I got accepted into a university out of state. I was thrilled. But my parents weren't. They told me if I wanted to leave home, I was on my own. I thought they were bluffing, until move-out day, when my dad handed me a box of my things and said, "You're an adult now. Time to start acting like one." No emotional goodbye. No help with tuition. Nothing. I worked 2 jobs just to survive through college. I slept in my car for a few weeks during my sophomore year because I couldn't afford rent. I made it through by sheer determination and a few scholarships. My parents never called to check in, never sent a dime. Fast forward 12 years, I'm doing pretty well. I have a stable job, a home, and a family of my own. Life is finally comfortable. Then out of nowhere, my parents reached out a few months ago. They said they're both retiring soon and wanted to discuss financial arrangements. I assumed they were just asking for advice, but no. They wanted me to help pay for their retirement home and monthly expenses. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. But my mom said, "We took care of you for 18 years. It's only fair you take care of us now." I reminded them that taking care of me included throwing me out at 18, cutting me off financially, and ignoring me for over a decade. My dad said, "That's in the past. Family forgives." I said, "Family also doesn't abandon their kids." Now they're guilt-tripping me, saying I'm being cold and money-hungry. They've even told my extended family that I'm turning my back on them in their time of need. Some relatives are on their side, saying, "They're still your parents, you wouldn't be where you are without them." But I strongly disagree. I got here despite them, not because of them. I don't hate them. But I also don't feel obligated to fund their retirement after they left me to fend for myself when I was barely an adult. So I told them, flat out, "You made it clear when I turned 18 that I was on my own. That goes both ways now." My mom started crying and said, "One day you'll have kids who'll treat you the same way." Maybe. But I'd never throw my kids out to prove a point. Now my phone's blowing up with guilt trips and family drama. Part of me feels a little bad, they are getting older, but another part of me knows this is just karma catching up. So. AITA for refusing to pay for my parents' retirement after they kicked me out at 18? AITA for telling my sister's husband that her business trips aren't really business? I, 28F, have an older sister, Clara, 32F, who's been married to Ben, 35M, for about 6 years. On the surface, they look like the perfect couple, nice house, 2 kids, great jobs. But I know a side of Clara that her husband clearly doesn't. For the past year, Clara has been taking what she calls business trips every few months. She works in marketing, so traveling isn't unusual for her. At first, I didn't question it, until one night when I ran into her at a bar 2 towns over. She wasn't alone. She was with a guy I'd never met before. They were sitting close, like, really close. She looked shocked when she saw me, and later texted, "Please don't say anything. It's just a little fun on the side. No one's getting hurt." I was disgusted. I told her that cheating isn't fun, and that she's playing with fire. She said, "You wouldn't understand, you don't have kids or a marriage. I need an escape sometimes." I didn't tell anyone at the time, mostly because I didn't want to blow up her marriage. But over the months, it kept eating at me. Every time she'd post pictures online of her and Ben smiling with their kids, it made my skin crawl. Then came the last straw. Clara called me, asking if I could babysit her kids for the weekend because she had another business trip. I asked her straight up, "Is it actually business this time?" She said, "Don't start. I just need this, okay?" That same night, one of my friends sent me a photo. She'd seen Clara at a resort with the same guy again. Laughing. Drinking. Acting like they were on a honeymoon. I couldn't take it anymore. So I told Ben. I showed him the photo. He went completely pale and didn't say much, just thanked me and hung up. The next day, all hell broke loose. Clara showed up at my apartment screaming at me. She said I'd destroyed her marriage and that I had no right to get involved. I told her she destroyed it herself. Now my entire family is divided. My mom says I should have stayed out of it, that I snitched and ruined the family's peace. My dad quietly told me he understands why I did it but wishes I'd given Clara a warning. Clara and Ben are now separated. She moved back in with my parents for now, and Ben has the kids. She keeps texting me that I'm a traitor and that she'll never forgive me. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because Ben didn't deserve to be lied to, and those kids didn't deserve parents living a lie. But now I'm the villain in everyone's eyes. So, AITA for telling my sister's husband that her business trips aren't really business? AITA for telling my mom I won't take care of my younger siblings when she dies? I, 26F, am the oldest of 4 kids. My younger siblings are 14, 12, and 9. Our dad passed away when I was 17, and ever since then, my mom has relied on me heavily, emotionally, financially, and practically. When I was in college, I used to come home every weekend to help her. I'd cook, clean, and take care of the kids. I even missed out on internships and social events because she needed me at home. I love my siblings, don't get me wrong, but I basically became a third parent before I even turned 20. Fast forward to now. I live about an hour away, finally have my own apartment, and work full-time. I visit often and help out when I can, but I'm trying to build my own life. A few weeks ago, my mom got really sick. She's doing better now, thankfully, but it scared her enough that she started talking about the future, specifically, about what would happen to my siblings if something happened to her. She sat me down and said, if anything ever happens to me, I need to know you'll take care of him. I hesitated. I told her I'd always look out for them and make sure they're okay, but I couldn't promise to raise them. I said, Mom, I love them, but I can't just become their parent. I don't have the money, space, or emotional capacity for that. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. She said, so you'd just let them go into the system? I told her no, that there are other relatives who could help, and that I'd stay in their lives no matter what. But she started crying and said, you're their sister. They need you. You're supposed to take care of family. I understand where she's coming from, but I'm angry that she's even putting that kind of responsibility on me. I already spent my entire youth being a second mom. I raised those kids when she was too tired, too sad, or too overwhelmed. I feel like I've already done my part. Now she's barely speaking to me. She told my aunt that I'm cold-hearted and that she's disappointed in how selfish I've become. My siblings overheard part of the conversation and now think I don't love them, which absolutely breaks my heart. But I'm tired of being the backup parent. I want to be their sister, not their guardian. I want my own life. My boyfriend says I was honest and that it's better to be clear now than to make promises I can't keep. But my family thinks I'm cruel for abandoning them before anything's even happened. So, AITA for telling my mom I won't take care of my younger siblings when she dies? AITA for exposing my cousin's fake miscarriage during our family reunion? I, 27F, come from a very close-knit family. We have a big reunion every year, cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone gathers for a weekend. It's usually a time for laughter, catching up, and a lot of drama, because, well, it's my family. My cousin Lily, 29F, has always been dramatic. She's the kind of person who needs to be the center of attention no matter what's happening. If someone else gets engaged, she announces a pregnancy. If someone graduates, she suddenly has a health scare. You get the picture. So, last year, she announced that she was pregnant. Everyone was thrilled, especially since she and her boyfriend had been trying for years. But as time went on, a few things didn't add up. She never showed any ultrasound photos. She never mentioned doctor appointments. And when people offered to throw her a baby shower, she'd say things like, oh, I'm keeping things private this time. Then, one random weekend, she texted our family group chat saying she'd had a miscarriage. Everyone flooded her with sympathy. We all felt terrible for her. But something in her story just didn't sit right with me. She claimed she'd been 4 months pregnant, yet 2 weeks before, she'd been drinking margaritas at a barbecue and eating sushi like nothing. When I gently asked her about it, she snapped, not everyone handles grief the same way. So I dropped it. But here's where it gets messy. A few months later, a mutual friend of ours who works at the same spa as Lily casually mentioned seeing her there around the time of her pregnancy. The friend said Lily had been ranting about how everyone finally stopped ignoring her since she told the family she was expecting. Apparently, she even told this friend, fake it till you make it, right? I was furious, mostly because my mom and aunt had spent hundreds of dollars sending her care packages after the miscarriage. It was disgusting. Fast forward to this year's family reunion. Everything was fine until Lily started complaining about how stressful last year had been for her and how no one truly understood her pain. That was it for me. I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, yeah, must have been hard keeping up a fake pregnancy. The whole room went dead silent. She froze. Then she screamed, "You're lying," but I didn't stop. I told everyone what her spa friend told me, and how none of her stories added up. My aunt, her mom, started crying, and Lily stormed out. Later, I got a string of furious texts from her, saying I'd humiliated her and ruined her reputation. My aunt said I should have confronted her privately instead of publicly shaming her. But honestly, I'm sick of her lies. She manipulated everyone for attention and money, and then played the victim. Now half the family thinks I did the right thing, and the other half says I went too far and should have just let it go since it's in the past. So, AITA for E. AITA for refusing to share my inheritance with my half-siblings because their mom broke up my parents' marriage? I, 30F, recently received my late mother's inheritance. It wasn't an insane amount, but it was enough to make a difference, around $150,000. My mom passed away 2 years ago, and everything she owned was legally left to me, her only child. Now, here's the backstory. When I was 10, my dad had an affair with a woman named Sandra. That affair ended my parents' marriage. My mom was completely devastated. I remember her crying in the kitchen when she found out. I remember her trying to hold it together for me, but it broke her heart. My dad married Sandra a year later and went on to have 2 kids with her, my half-siblings, Liam, 16, and Sophie, 14. I've always been polite to them, but we're not close. I see them maybe once a year at Christmas or family birthdays. I don't hold anything against them personally, but they're constant reminders of how my mom's marriage ended. After my mom died, my dad started saying stuff like, "You should think about sharing what your mom left you, those are your siblings, too." I thought he was joking. But then last month, Sandra called me herself. She said, "I know you got a large inheritance, and it would mean a lot to Liam and Sophie if you set aside a little for their college funds. They're your family too." I was stunned. I told her flat out that this was my inheritance, from my mom, who their mom helped destroy emotionally. Sandra tried to guilt-trip me, saying, "That's not fair to punish innocent kids for what happened between adults." I told her I'm not punishing anyone, I'm just keeping what's mine. Then my dad called, furious. He said I'm heartless and that my mom would have wanted me to be kind. I reminded him that my mom hated Sandra until the day she died, and that she left that money specifically to me. He said, "Well, Liam and Sophie are your blood. Don't you care about your family?" And I snapped. I said, "My family was destroyed when you cheated. You made your choice, and you built your family. This money is what's left of mine. Now everyone's calling me selfish." My grandparents are trying to mediate, and even a few cousins said I should at least give a small amount to keep the peace. But I just can't. It feels wrong. Why should I hand over my mom's hard-earned money to the children of the woman who broke her heart? I know the kids didn't do anything, but it still feels like crossing a line my mom would never forgive me for. So now my dad's barely speaking to me, and Sandra keeps sending me guilt-tripping texts about family unity. But to me, that inheritance isn't just money, it's the last thing my mom gave me. So, AITA for refusing to share my inheritance with my half-siblings because their mom broke up my parents' marriage? AITA for not attending my sister's wedding because she didn't invite my disabled son? I, 35F, have a 9-year-old son named Ethan. He has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair. He's the sweetest, funniest, and most loving kid, but yes, he does require special care. My younger sister, Megan, 28F, recently got married. She's always been particular about how things look. She's the type who curates her Instagram feed and plans her life like a Pinterest board. I don't mean that as an insult, but it's relevant. A few months ago, she sent out wedding invitations, beautifully done, elegant, all that. But when I looked at mine, something caught my eye. It said, "This will be an adults-only event. No children, please." At first, I didn't think much of it. A lot of weddings are kid-free, and I was fine with that, until I realized that my other sister's 2 teenagers, ages 13 and 15, were invited. When I asked Megan about the adults-only rule, she said, "Oh, teens are fine." I just meant no little kids running around. That's when I asked, "So what about Ethan?" She hesitated, then said, "I don't think it's the right environment for him." I asked her to explain, and she said, "It's going to be outdoors, on uneven ground, and it'll be a long day. I just don't want to make him uncomfortable or have you stressed taking care of him." I told her I could handle Ethan just fine, and we'd make whatever accommodations were needed. She then admitted, "Honestly, I just don't want it to be a distraction. The focus should be on the wedding." That broke me. She was basically saying my son, her nephew, would be a distraction. I told her that if Ethan wasn't welcome, neither was I. She tried to backtrack, saying, "It's not that he's not welcome, it's just that it's not practical." But that's the same thing dressed up in polite words. My parents begged me to reconsider, saying I shouldn't ruin the family dynamic over one event. But to me, this wasn't one event. This was her making it clear how she really saw my son, as an inconvenience. So I didn't go. I stayed home with Ethan, and we spent the day watching movies, eating cake, and laughing together. Since then, my family's been divided. My parents think I should have taken the high road and gone to support my sister. Megan says I made her feel like a bad person on her own wedding day. But my husband and a few close friends say I absolutely did the right thing. Now, it's been a few weeks, and Megan still won't speak to me. She claims I punished her by making her wedding about me. But honestly, I don't think I could ever sit through a celebration where my own child wasn't welcome. So, Reddit. AITA for not attending my sister's wedding because she didn't invite my disabled son? AITA for refusing to let my stepmother be called grandma to my kids? I, 33F, have 2 kids, ages 6 and 4. My mom passed away when I was 18, and it completely shattered me. My dad remarried 2 years later to Linda, who was his co-worker. I'll be honest, I never really warmed up to her. She wasn't outright cruel, but she wasn't maternal either. She was polite. Coldly polite. When I got married, she made it clear she wasn't interested in playing mom to me. She even refused to be in the family photos unless it was just the immediate family. So, fine, I respected that boundary. Fast forward to now, my husband and I have kids. Linda has started insisting that my kids call her Grandma Linda. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was just something she said around others. But she's been really pushing it lately. She even signed their birthday cards as Grandma Linda and refers to herself that way in front of my kids. I'll admit, it rubbed me the wrong way. My mom, their real grandmother, died before they were born, and we still talk about her often. I show my kids pictures of her, tell them stories, and make sure they know who she was. So, when Linda tried to claim that title, it felt like she was replacing my mom, or at least erasing her memory. I finally told her, very directly, please don't call yourself grandma to my kids. They can just call you Linda. She looked stunned. Then my dad blew up, saying I was being disrespectful and that Linda had earned that title after all these years. I asked him, earned it how? By staying married to you? Now, both of them are furious. My dad says I'm ungrateful and cruel, and that family isn't about blood, it's about love. But I don't feel loved by Linda. I feel like she's just trying to look like a devoted grandmother for appearances. My husband agrees with me. He says our kids already have a grandmother, even if she's gone, and we don't need to force fake relationships. But my dad's side of the family says I'm being petty, and that I'm punishing Linda for not being my real mom when I was younger. So now, Linda is refusing to come to any family gatherings until I apologize and let her be grandma. Honestly, I don't feel bad. My kids don't need to call every adult in their life a grandparent just to make someone else feel better. But maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe I'm letting my grief and resentment cloud my judgment. So, Reddit. AITA for refusing to let my stepmother be called grandma to my kids? AITA for making my dad pay me back every cent he borrowed, even though he's family? I, 26F, grew up watching my dad borrow money from everyone, friends, relatives, even my mom. He always promised to pay them back but never did. I'll sort it out next month, was basically his catchphrase. When I was a kid, my mom worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat while he chased one business idea after another. Most of them failed, and he always blamed bad luck or other people. By the time I was 18, my parents had divorced, and I swore I'd never rely on anyone financially, especially not him. Fast forward to last year. I'd finally built some savings after working hard for years. Around $15,000. It wasn't much, but it was everything I had. Then my dad called. He said he was in a temporary pinch and needed help paying off some debts. He promised he'd pay me back in 3 months. Against my better judgment, I lent him $10,000. 3 months turned into 6. 6 turned into a year. Every time I asked, he had an excuse. The client hasn't paid me yet. I'm just waiting for the deal to go through. You know I'd never cheat my own daughter. Eventually, I told him I wanted everything in writing. He laughed at first, then realized I was serious. I made him sign a simple repayment agreement I found online, monthly payments with interest. He said I was treating him like a stranger, but he signed it. After that, I started asking regularly about the payments. He kept saying, "You're really going to hound your own father for money?" Yes. I was. Because it wasn't pocket change. It was years of my work, my sacrifice. Last month, after almost 2 years of empty promises, I sent him a formal letter, basically a demand for repayment. It wasn't aggressive, just factual. A week later, he called me, furious. He said I'd lost all respect for family values and that I was money hungry. He told everyone in the family that I was suing him, which I wasn't. I just wanted my money back. Now half the family is on his side. My aunt texted me saying, "He's your father. You can't put a price tag on family." My cousin said, if you really loved him, you'd forgive the debt. But here's what no one seems to understand, forgiving him would mean I never see that money again. And it's not even about the cash anymore. It's about accountability. He's 55 and still manipulates people with guilt. He called me again yesterday and said, if you keep pushing this, don't expect me at your wedding. I told him, if paying back what you owe means you can't be there, then maybe that says more about you than me. Now my mom says I should have just let it go, to keep the peace. But I've spent my whole life watching him take advantage of people who love him, and I refuse to be one of them. So Reddit, AITA for making my dad pay me back every cent he borrowed, even though he's family? Because I'm tired of family meaning you get to treat me badly without consequences. AITA for telling my brother's fiancé that our family hates her? I, 27F, have an older brother, Mark, 30M, who's getting married soon to his fiancée, Amanda, 29F. They've been together for about 3 years. And to put it bluntly, no one in my family likes her. It started off fine, she was polite, friendly, and clearly loved my brother. But as time went on, everyone started noticing things. She's controlling, dismissive, and makes everything about herself. If my mom cooks a meal, she criticizes it. If my dad tells a story, she interrupts. If I mention something about my life, she changes the topic back to her. Still, Mark's in love with her, so we've all tried to keep the peace. Family dinners have been awkward for years. Anyway, last weekend we had a small family gathering at my parents' house. It was supposed to be a celebration for Mark's upcoming wedding. Amanda came, of course, and within 10 minutes, she was already making snide comments. She told my mom that the table setting looked dated, told me my outfit was brave, and even said my dad's new car wasn't really his style. Everyone just smiled and tried to ignore it, again. After dinner, she pulled me aside and said, "Your family doesn't seem to like me very much. Be honest, do they?" I hesitated, but she pressed. "Come on, I can take it. I just want to know the truth." So I told her. I said, "Okay. You asked for honesty." "No, they don't. They think you're rude and condescending. You constantly criticize everyone and make people uncomfortable. But nobody says anything because they don't want to upset Mark." She froze. Then her eyes welled up, and she said, "Wow, okay. Thanks for your honesty, I guess." I thought that was the end of it. But apparently, she went straight to my brother after that and told him everything. He called me later that night, furious. He said I had no right to speak for the family and that I humiliated Amanda. I told him she asked me directly, and I just told the truth. He said, "You should have lied. You didn't have to destroy her confidence before our wedding." Now my mom is mad at me too. She said, "We were all managing just fine. Why did you have to say it out loud?" But my dad quietly told me he thinks I did the right thing. He said, maybe hearing it from someone will make her think twice about how she treats people. The thing is, I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it because she asked. And honestly, it's exhausting watching everyone walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. Now Amanda has apparently been crying for days, saying she doesn't feel welcome and that she might cancel the wedding. My brother says if she does, it'll be my fault. I get that honesty can hurt, but she literally asked me for it. What was I supposed to do? Smile and pretend everyone adored her when they clearly don't? So, Reddit, AITA for telling my brother's fiancé that our family hates her? AITA for refusing to give my mom my wedding dress because she wants my sister to wear it instead? I, 30F, got married 3 years ago. My wedding dress means a lot to me, not just because it's beautiful, but because I designed it myself. I saved for 2 years to afford the materials, and my late grandmother helped me with the lacework. She passed away just a few months after the wedding, so the dress holds a lot of emotional value. My mom knows this. She was there through all the fittings, the tears, and the excitement. So when she called me last week and asked if she could borrow the dress for my younger sister, Emily, 26F, I honestly thought she was joking. Emily's getting married soon, and she's always been the favorite. Growing up, everything revolved around her, her dance recitals, her grades, her boyfriends. I was the quiet, independent one who never asked for much. Anyway, my mom said, it would mean so much if you let Emily wear your dress. It's such a waste for it to just sit in your closet. I told her no immediately. That dress is mine, and it's sentimental. Plus, Emily and I don't even have the same style, she's always gone for more flashy, trendy things. But my mom wouldn't let it go. She said, "Come on, it's family. You won't even use it again. Let it have another walk down the aisle." I said, "Mom, it's not just fabric to me. Grandma worked on it. It's personal." She sighed and said, "You're being selfish. Your sister's wedding should be a family affair, and you're making it about yourself." Then Emily called me the next day. She said she didn't see what the big deal was and that she'd have it cleaned and altered just a little. When I said no again, she got snippy and said, "You're really going to make me spend thousands on a dress when you already have one just collecting dust?" I told her she could buy her own dress like everyone else. 2 days later, my mom showed up at my house unannounced, with my aunt and cousin, to talk sense into me. She actually asked me to hand over the dress right then. I was stunned. I told her she was crossing a line and asked her to leave. She left crying, saying I'd changed and that Grandma would have wanted Emily to wear it. That part really hurt, because my grandma made that dress for me, not anyone else. Now my whole family is divided. Some think I'm being too sentimental over a piece of clothing. Others say my mom and sister are being entitled. My husband is firmly on my side. He said, "It's your dress. No one else gets a say." But now I'm getting texts from relatives saying I humiliated my mom by refusing such a simple request. It's gotten so bad that Emily uninvited me from being her maid of honor. She said I've made her wedding stressful. To be clear, I never said she couldn't have a beautiful wedding. I even offered to help her find her own dress. But I'm not giving up mine. It's the last thing I have that connects me to Grandma. So. AITA. AITA for kicking my pregnant sister out after finding out she's naming her baby after my dead fiancé? I, 28F, lost my fiancé, Daniel, 2 years ago in a car accident. We were 3 months from our wedding, and his death completely broke me. My younger sister Lily, 25F, moved in to help me cope. She cooked, cleaned, kept me company, everything a good sister should do. But she said weird things sometimes, like how handsome Daniel was or how someone like him doesn't come around twice. Once, she even joked that if I hadn't met him first, she probably would have fallen for him too. It made me uncomfortable, but I ignored it. A few months later, she moved out suddenly, saying she needed a fresh start. I didn't ask questions. Last month, Lily called me crying. She was pregnant, had broken up with her boyfriend, and needed somewhere to stay. I told her she could move back in. I thought this might be a chance for us to reconnect. For the first few weeks, everything was fine. I helped her get settled, drove her to appointments, and even started decorating a little nursery corner in the guest room. Then one night, during dinner, she said she'd finally picked a name for the baby. I smiled and asked what it was. She said, "Daniel." I froze. I thought I misheard her. But she smiled and said, "I've always loved that name. And your Daniel was such a good person, it feels right." I told her she couldn't name her baby after my dead fiancé. She rolled her eyes and said, "You don't own the name. It's not that deep." Not that deep? The man I loved, who died in my arms, wasn't that deep? I told her it was disrespectful, that it felt like she was taking something sacred and making it hers. She said I was being dramatic and that it was a way to honor him. That was it for me. I told her to pack her things and get out of my house. She cried and said I was heartless for kicking out a pregnant woman, but I couldn't even look at her. I told her she'd crossed a line she could never uncross. The next day, my mom called me screaming. Apparently, Lily told her I threw her out because of a baby name. My mom said I was cruel and needed to let go of the past. But this isn't about the past. It's about boundaries. Lily knew exactly what that name meant to me and still used it. Now half my family thinks I'm heartless, and the other half won't say anything at all. Lily's been posting online about toxic relatives and unsupportive sisters. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should have waited until she moved out before telling her how much it hurt. But I just couldn't breathe when she said that name. It felt like she was taking Daniel from me all over again. So Reddit, AITA for kicking my pregnant sister out after finding out she's naming her baby after my dead fiancé?